Welcome, friends, again in the channel. Now, as we have proposed earlier, to continue on the same topic, a different segment of the same topic. So, here again, I have presented you with the topic of academic writing. Now, this time it is about the part three. And why part three? Because in the classifications, we have already completed introduction to the writing process. Second part is introduction to the conventions of academic writing. Now, today we are going to deal with this third part, writing in one's own words, summarizing and paraphrasing. So here we have come together to understand this topic of writing in one's own words, specifically summarizing and paraphrasing. Now, what is it? We need to delve into it. Let us go into the deeper part of this. First, we have to understand why own writing is necessary in academic writing. Why we have to focus on our own writing. We should not take down or note down something else from other sources or resources. Why is that so? Now, here is the answer. First, to avoid plagiarism. And second, reflections on preparing and reading texts and critical materials and taking notes on them. Now, first we have to then again understand what is called plagiarism. Now, plagiarism is something that where uses of extensive quotations and no paraphrasing along with own additions. For example, if you are taking materials from other sources and you are directly representing it in your own writing, then it should be plagiarism. So you are not writing something by your own, you are not doing something by your own. Now, to avoid plagiarism, this is necessary to write by your own. Now, about the second part, see, preparation is about the reading texts. It is understandable. Critical materials, to gather critical materials. And the third, taking notes. Now, this number three is significant. How to take notes. Here we have again a suggestion. There are three types of note taking. First of all, it's a summary, second paraphrase, third quotation. Now, these three topics are found in the MLA Handbook for Writers of Research Papers, 7th edition. So, according to the 7th edition, these three types of taking notes are there. And we have to learn about it step by step because questions may ask from these topics in a different way. And we will surely discuss the questions in the latter part. And again, the what type of questions you may be asked, I have already given in the earlier two presentations, the pattern of questions, the types of questions. In this video, again, if you follow the video till to the end, you will get to know what are the questions or what are the probable questions that may be asked to you in your examination. So let us move on to the first one, the summary. What is a summary? It is very known concept. You all know about it. What is summary? Again, this is an exercise with which students become familiar from their school days, and you all know about it. They have often been asked, that means students have often been asked to write the summary of a short poem or a prose piece, which is writing in one's own words, the main ideas contained in this. So when we are asked to write a summary, it is advised to note down on the main points. What are the main points in that passage that is significant for us? Summary is particularly useful when a large body of material is involved. So there is a huge passage. Now you don't have to write all of them. You have to take significant points. And how a summary is written, I am going to show you in the next slide. But beforehand, you have to understand that how useful it is. It is means summary when a large body of materials is given. That means a huge paragraph is given and you have to understand, you have to write something from that. You have to take the guidance of summary. You have to take the help of summary to understand the passage. Usually when one goes through a large body of material, sifting is necessary. Now, what is sifting? Where a considerable amount of material that is either supplementary to or explanatory of these ideas are left out and focus automatically falls on the material that is absolutely necessary. Then it becomes easier to use these ideas in the writing. So you have to take notes on the significant points. You have to understand only the correct versions, only the correct points, and according to you, if those points you can collect only the necessary parts that are left. In other words, when you avoid the unnecessary materials, if you collect the unnecessary materials from the different, from the reverse idea, then only the main points will be there in the paragraph. And then the focus automatically will fall on the material that is absolutely necessary. So you have to take down, this process is called sifting. So if you are sifting, that means you only take unnecessary materials from the paragraph, then only the necessary materials will be there for your advantage, for your convenience. So this is summary according to the academic writing, process of academic writing. On the next slide, I am going to give you an example text about Johannes Gutenberg. This text is about 194 words. This is all about the writing of Johannes Gutenberg, German goldsmith, publisher who introduced printing to Europe and all that. So in Renaissance Europe, the arrival of mechanical movable type printing introduced the era of mass communication, the last paragraph. In that way, if you can follow each paragraph about total 194 words, and when it comes to about summary writing, then summary of the text is only of 63 words. There is an example. So in the slide, you are going to read first of all the text about Johannes Gutenberg in detail, and then try to read the summary that is written only in 63 words. The German Johannes Gutenberg introduced printing in Europe. His invention had a decisive contribution in spread of mass learning and building the basis of the modern society. Gutenberg's major invention was practical system permitting the mass production of printed books. Printed books allowed open circulation of information and prepared the evolution of society from to the contemporary knowledge-based economy. What is significant here, if you apply the process of sifting that you learned just in the earlier slide, then you can understand how you have to make a good summary out of a large body of material, means a large paragraph. Here, through this example, you can understand that how to write a summary and how summary is going to help you in your academic writing. The next is a paraphrase. What is a paraphrase? And don't intermingle summary with paraphrase. This exercise is confined to specific words, sentences, or passages for which detailed notes are required. See, just look at the red words, red phrases, the phrases written in red. So detailed notes are required. In a paraphrase, one has to write down in one's own words, significant, the material that is under scrutiny. Paraphrasing is different from summarizing, just as I said to you, in the way that a large body of material is not involved in it. So in paraphrase, large body of material is not involved. Critical attention is required to make notes on specific words, sentences, or passages. It is like explaining in one's own words the thoughts that are contained in the chosen part. So paraphrase is something different, not summary. In paraphrase, you have to focus on the explanatory parts in your own words, the thoughts that are contained in the chosen part. So that is significant. Paraphrase in that case is important. Thus, paraphrasing does not cover the entire text that is being studied. Paraphrasing may include explanation or elaboration of references and allusions, and for that one may have to refer to sources outside the given passage or given passages. So paraphrase is something that you can take material from outside sources. So that may not be present in your complete body of material. It may be taken from the other sources, and in that way you can complete the thought hidden in the paragraph. You have to write in your own words, and that is exactly called paraphrase. Let us go back to an example. The example is from the original passage and then paraphrase. The original passage is this: in the Sopranos, the mob is besieged as much by inner infidelity as it is by the federal government. Early in the series, the greatest threat to Tony's family is his own biological family. One of his closest associates turns witness for the FBI. His mother colludes with his uncle to contract a hit on Tony, and his kids click through websites that track the federal crackdown in Tony's gangland. So it is about something that you can understand. It is about gang, it is about money, it is about something related to police matters. Now, if this original passage is paraphrased, then how it will be? In the first season of The Sopranos, Tony Soprano's mobster activities, The Sopranos is a web series name, activities are more threatened by members of his biological family than by agents of the federal government. This familial betrayal is multi-pronged. Tony's closest friend is an FBI informant, his mother and uncle conspiring to have him killed, and his children are surfing the web for information about his activities. So you can find the differences between the original passage and the paraphrased passage. Here, the meaning of the original passage is this. The main point of this passage is that problems within the family are as bad as or even worse than problems caused by the federal government. Details about this betrayal include one family member turning informant, a hit being put on Tony by family members, and Tony's kids tracking his activities. This is the main aspect of the original passage. Now, how we have already done a paraphrase. So here is a summary of some of the changes made during the paraphrasing process. Early in the series is the first season, more threatened is greatest threat, closest friend is equal to closest associates, his mother colludes with his uncle, his mother and uncle are conspiring, his kids click through websites, his children are surfing the web. So in this way, you can make a paraphrase out of a passage. So remember, this is not a summary. If you were asked to write down a difference or differences between a paragraph and a summary, paragraph, a summary and paraphrase, then you can give these examples to prove your point. That in summary, you have to take only the necessary points. In paraphrase, you may add something extra to prove your point, to add with your extended material or as your extended material, whatever. This is the basic difference between a paragraph and a paraphrase. Even after that, if you do not understand, just go through the slides again and the explanation that I made. You will surely understand this. Even after that, if the problem still remains, then ask me in the comment section. Now, moving to the next segment, the quotation. So, third section. Sometimes it becomes necessary to lift the lines or passages or bit its parts verbatim from the original writing because it clinches the point perfectly and summarizing it would not be as eloquent as the original. Quotations are also used to support one's argument. It is mandatory that the portion lifted verbatim out of the original writing be put within inverted commas. And every bit, including the punctuation mark, should be as it is in the original writing. So in these 2 points, as you can see the red lines or red words, verbatim from the original writing, that you have to write verbatim words. And in the second, that must be put within inverted comma. When a quotation is used in an academic writing, the source has to be cited. Again, another significant point. It means that the student has to mention the book or essay, the names of the author and publisher. If one fails to do so, one may be charged with plagiarism, which is punishable by law. So we have already understood what is called plagiarism. And if you are not doing this, that means if you are not quoting something, if you are not giving the source of that quotation, you may fall on the part of plagiarism. So you are stealing someone's materials and using as your own. Now that is a heinous crime. Don't do that in academic writing specifically. Now, again, here, there is an example. For example, if a sentence from the given passage needs to be quoted in an answer, that student write, Andrew Sanders says, for Locke, the mind was a tabula rasa at birth. White paper, void of all characters, without any ideas. This will suffice in an answer, but in research paper, one has to name the source in greater detail. So, if you were writing an answer to your question in the examination hall, this will suffice. Okay, this will be okay because you may not be asked the source. But in academic writing, you have to mention the source very specifically. Otherwise, as I have already said, this will belong to the part of plagiarism. Now, you should mention the source in greater detail. So while taking notes for the research paper, the student will have to take down the names of the author, the book, publisher, as well as the year of publication. Remember this, name of the author, book, the publisher, as well as the year of publication, which will be cited at the end of the paper. How it is going to be done? So quoting from the given passage will require the student to note the following. Andrew Sanders, The Short Oxford History of English Literature, OUP, 1994, print. In this way, you have to mention. Now, there are other examples as you can browse through the websites, different websites, how to quote in academic writing. You can get several other examples, but this is what I can find the best. Moving to the next, as I have already proposed earlier, the questions. What kind of questions you may be asked from this short version of the third part, writing in one's own words, summarizing and paraphrasing. Questions may be, what is a summary? Explain with example. You may be asked a 5 marks as question or 15 marks. Second, what is a paraphrase? Third, how does one use quotation in academic writing? Explain with examples. State the differences between summary and paraphrase. Why is own writing necessary in academic writing? What is plagiarism in academic writing? Explain. Explain means you have to give the examples. What are the types of note taking? Illustrate with examples. So these are the regular questions that may be asked to you in your question paper, in your examination hall, in your examination paper. So what you have to do very, very meticulously, remember to give the examples and do not forget, try to write very specifically and meticulously, means to the point, to the point. Don't forget to mention the resources while quoting somewhere. Don't forget how to paraphrase, and don't forget how to make a summary out of a large body of material or a given paragraph or paragraphs. So these are the factors in this short third part that you have to understand. Now, as we have already learned in the previous videos, that this is the resource of my whole video presentation. So this book is very handy, and you can also take materials from the internet resources. Now, thank you very much for watching this video till to the end. Until the next part comes, stay safe, stay healthy.